Have you ever caught yourself thinking, this must be my fault? I'm Kati Morton, licensed therapist, and today we're unpacking why you blame yourself for everything, even when you know it's not fair. This isn't just personality, it's learned behavior. And the good news? You can unlearn it. I'm going to walk you through exactly where this voice comes from, why it's so hard to quiet, and 3 powerful strategies to start breaking the cycle starting right now. But first, let me tell you a story, one that completely changed the way I understand self-blame. Emma came into my office after what she described as the worst week of her life. For weeks, her best friend had been acting distant, barely responding to texts, and declining invitations to hang out. Emma wasn't just sad, she replayed conversations, phone calls, texts with her friend like a detective. Maybe it started when I canceled dinner 2 weeks ago because I was exhausted from work, she told me. Or maybe it was when I didn't respond to her story fast enough on Instagram. You know what? It might have been when I mentioned that guy I matched with on that dating app. Maybe she thought I was being braggy. For weeks, Emma was convinced she'd ruined everything. She'd even drafted multiple apology texts, apologizing for things she wasn't even sure she'd done wrong. And then the truth came out. Her friend was going through a family crisis, and she just hadn't told anyone about it yet. It had absolutely nothing to do with Emma. Sitting in my office, she said, I would rather spend 2 weeks believing I'm a terrible friend than spend 2 minutes facing the fact that I have no control over whether people stay in my life. That is when it clicked. Self-blame is a survival mechanism. It's your own way of trying to maintain some sense of control in an unpredictable world. Think about it. If something bad happens and it's your fault, theoretically, you can prevent it from happening again by being more careful. But if bad things happen and they're not your fault, you're powerless. And that feeling is terrifying. Your brain says, I'd rather feel guilty and responsible than helpless and out of control. The pattern of self-blame often starts much earlier than we realize. And the way it develops explains so much about why you may be struggling in relationships right now. Picture this. You're 7 years old. Your parents are fighting again. As a child, you believe your parents are all-knowing and all-powerful. So when they were upset or distant, you didn't realize, they're dealing with adult problems that have nothing to do with me. Instead, you thought, if my parents are upset and they're perfect, right? They're amazing, then it must be my fault. I must have done something wrong. If I can just figure out what it is and fix it, then everything will be okay again. This is aptly named magical thinking, and it's completely normal in childhood. Maybe your parents were going through a divorce, and you thought, if you just got better grades, they'd stay together. Maybe one parent struggled with addiction, and you believed if you were just more well-behaved, they'd get better. The common thread? You learned that when relationships are in trouble, it's safer to blame yourself than to face the terrifying reality that some things are outside your control. Let's fast forward to your adult relationships, and that same problematic pattern is running the show. When someone you're dating starts to pull away, instead of thinking, maybe they're dealing with their own issues, or maybe we're not compatible, your brain immediately goes to, what did I do wrong? How can I fix this? The thoughts you think will save your relationship begin to push people away. The overanalyzing, the apologizing, the validation seeking, it creates suffocating intensity. The wild thing is that you probably gravitate to people who reinforce this pattern of self-blame. But why? Because it feels familiar. Old habits reappear and you start to think, I know how to do this. I know how to be the one that fixes everything. You might want to write this down in your journal or on a Post-it note. Familiarity isn't the same as healthy. Now that we know the why in why we blame ourselves for everything, it's time to learn how to rewire the pattern. The first strategy might sound weird, but it really works. I'm not going to ask you to stop blaming yourself. That never works because that inner voice has been protecting you for years. Instead, I want you to become a detective. I call this my evidence collection strategy. And this is how it works. Every time that familiar wave of self-blame hits you, instead of fighting it, I want you to say, okay, that's one theory about what happened here. What are two other possible explanations? And then you collect the evidence like you're solving a case. Let's say your coworker was short with you in a meeting and your brain immediately goes to, I must have said something stupid. She thinks I'm incompetent. Instead of trying to convince yourself that that's not true, you become a detective about it. Theory 1 is that you said something wrong. Okay, let's collect some evidence. Theory 2, maybe she just got difficult feedback from her boss. It's possible, right? Theory 3, maybe she's dealing with something personal at home and it has nothing to do with you. Think to yourself, has she been short with other people today? Did she seem stressed when she walked into the meeting? Is this how she normally interacts and you're just noticing it more because you're feeling sensitive? The evidence collection strategy works because it doesn't invalidate the protective voice in your head. It just gives it a job that serves you. This will be incredibly effective at breaking the thought pattern in the moment. But if you want lasting change, you're going to need to heal the part of you that learned this pattern of self-blame is necessary for survival. My second strategy addresses the root of the problem. Healing the younger version of you. The one who learned it was her job to take care of everyone else's emotions. I call this reparenting your inner child. I actually have a workshop about it on my website, katiemorton.com. You can check it out. But the next time you catch yourself spiraling into self-blame, pause for a moment. Picture yourself at 7 years old, before you learn to apologize for everything and make yourself smaller in order to keep the peace. Ask yourself, what did that little girl need to hear? Maybe it's not your job to make everyone happy, or some problems belong to other people. Or possibly she needed to be told you're lovable even when things go wrong. Once you find those words, speak them to her. Out loud if you can, or in your journal, or even just quietly in your mind. This will feel awkward at first, obviously, but here's what's happening. You have begun to create a new emotional pattern. One where love isn't tied to blame, performance, or perfection. And over time, the self-blame begins to fade, and something kinder takes its place. The third strategy is to set emotional boundaries. This starts by understanding a key difference between empathy and over-responsibility. Empathy is feeling with someone. Over-responsibility is feeling for someone. Let's say your friend is going through a breakup. Empathy sounds like, I see that you're hurting and I care about you. You're present with them, emotionally supportive, but not trying to take ownership of their pain. Over-responsibility, on the other hand, sounds like, I need to make this better. If you're still sad tomorrow, it means I failed you. Now you've crossed a line. You've made their emotional state your responsibility. Setting emotional boundaries means recognizing their feelings are valid, but they're not mine to carry or fix. I know. That doesn't make you cold or uncaring. It makes you more emotionally grounded and able to show up as your full, authentic self. When we carry everyone else's emotions as if they're our own, we burn out, we lose ourselves, and often become less helpful in the process. Here are some phrases that will help you set healthy emotional boundaries while still being supportive. Instead of saying, I'm sorry you're upset when you didn't do anything wrong, right? We're apologizing. Try, I can see this is really hard for you. In place of, it's my fault this happened, try, this is a difficult situation that we're both dealing with. These may seem like small wording changes, but they reflect a major internal shift. You're no longer taking responsibility for other people's emotions. You're offering support from a grounded place. That's what emotional boundaries allow us to do. If you're looking for more information on how to actually set boundaries, I have a ton of videos about it and also a workshop on my website. So you can go to YouTube and search Boundaries Kati Morton and they'll pop up, or you can go to katimorton.com and look for my Boundaries workshop. When you start implementing these strategies, some people in your life won't like it. I know. And when you stop apologizing for things that aren't your fault, some people will be confused. When you stop taking responsibility for others' emotions, some people might make you feel guilty for not caring anymore. When you start setting boundaries, some people will push back. Keep in mind that the people who do get upset are the ones benefiting from your patterns of self-blame. They were comfortable with you taking responsibility because it meant they didn't have to look at their own behavior. This doesn't make them bad people, but it does give you important information about the health of your relationships. The right people, the people who are good for you, will respect your boundaries. They'll appreciate that you're showing up more authentically. You didn't develop this pattern of self-blame overnight, and you won't heal overnight either. But every time you're a detective about it, each time you reparent that wounded inner child, or you set an emotional boundary, you rewire your life for healthier relationships. We covered a lot today, so before you click away, pause. Take a minute. Open your journal or your notes app and just jot down what's still lingering in your mind. What stood out? What felt personal? Then, if you can, rewind the video and rewatch the part that hit the hardest. Sometimes the second listen goes even deeper. And here's my final challenge for you this week. Pick one strategy from this video that resonated with you and practice it once a day for the next 7 days. That's it. One small, consistent shift. As you do, pay attention. What changes? How do you feel? How do you respond differently? And how do people respond to you? Awareness is where transformation starts. If this video resonated, you'll want to pre-order my new book, Why Do I Keep Doing This? It goes even deeper into how early shame rewires our behavior and how we start to change it. Again, it's available for pre-order now, and the link is in the description. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that button and the bell because we talk about stuff like this each and every week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.